I messed this up last time, so I have to start all over again. Gosh, dang it. All right, so we got this recession going on here. We're trying to fix it. We've talked about how we can fix it using government spending. But the other fiscal policy that we could use, the other expansionary fiscal policy we could use is a tax cut. Now, the problem with this is, or the thing that's confusing about this, is that the tax cut behaves differently than government spending. Notice, we've been trying to figure out what the initial change has to be in government spending. Notice that when the government spends $1, $1 million, $1 billion, it gets added right away to our GDP formula. So boom! Instantaneously, we treat it as though it increases GDP. Boom! Right away, initially. Right away. However, the tax cut behaves differently. Because why does a tax cut increase GDP or shift your aggregate demand curve to the right? Spurs consumption! Here. But if I give you $100, what will you do with at least some of it? Maybe not all of you, but most of you will at least do what with a little bit of it? You'll certainly save a little bit. So you won't spend every single dollar. So if I give you $100 in tax cut, you're not going to go out and consume $100 worth of stuff. You're going to consume a much smaller number, which means that your tax cut has to be a different value than your government spending. Those of you who are really smart and swift shouldn't be able to tell me, do you think the tax cut has to be bigger or smaller than the government spending? We'll find out in a second. So here's what I did. Went back. This is the same problem I did the very first time I put the numbers in here. Marginal propensity to consume is 0.8. Here's the calculation. You get a multiplier of 5. You can do this problem exactly the same to start as you do with your government spending, but there's an extra step. So I need a total change of 50, from 50 to 100. I know my multiplier is 5. I know that makes my initial change 10. But remember, if I give you an initial tax cut of $10, how much of that are you going to consume? What's your MPC? So if you get $10, how much are you going to consume? You're going to consume 8. You're not going to initially change GDP by $10. You're only going to get an 8 here. So that means that this is insufficient. So what you have to do is you have to go to an extra step here. So I know that I need my tax cut to turn into an initial change of how much? It's got to be an initial change of $10. Do I know how big my tax cut is? No, I keep asking you, how much does the tax cut need to be? So the question is, do we know the MPC? Yes, we do. It is 0.8. Can we do this? Tax cut times 0.8 equals 10? Can we figure out what the tax cut is? Sure. Divide by 0.8 on both sides. Lost my hat. Got it back. Notice, dividing by 0.8 is not probably the easiest thing you're going to ever do here. But again, on the AP test, they'll probably give you a very simple number here. So you won't have to worry about this. But let me see. If I go back, I think it's 12.5. So I get a tax cut of 12.5. Or 12.5 bucks to close my recessionary gap. Notice the 12.5 is bigger now. So they had to give me more tax cut to get the same amount of initial spending. All right? So the two solutions are, you could have the government spend $10, or they could cut your taxes by $12.5. Hopefully I did the math on that right. I'm going to make you another problem that's very similar to the one we did with the government spending, but you're going to tabulate it for tax cut. See how you do. If you have any questions, let me know.